Mr. and Mrs. Dursley of number 4 Pivot Drive were proud to say that they were perfectly normal. Thank you very much. Welcome to The Craze in 10 or Less. This is the show where I give it to you in 10 minutes or under, and if I don't, I'm not consistent. Anyway, how important is that opening passage to your story? That's the topic of the day. I'm Sam, the Crazy Man Vera. Stop acting up. Let's get it. All right. So I started off this episode with the opening passage to Harry Potter Book 1. Sold billions worldwide, right? We know what kind of phenomena Harry Potter had on the culture, just on literature, on our lives, right? So I was watching an interview with J.K. Rowling, which sparked the idea, how important is that opening passage? What is your intent? What are you trying to do with that opening passage? Who are you trying to captivate? What questions would you like them to ask when reading that opening passage? Is it important to the story, that opening line? Is there a specific character you want people to invest in? Is there a specific theme? Is there a mystery? Is there something that you want them to solve? All these questions as a writer, you have to ask yourself, right? So that opening line is so widely important. And so when I read that first line from Harry Potter, Mr. and Mrs. Dursley of number 4 Private Drive were proud to say that they were perfectly normal. Thank you very much. Why were they proud to be normal? There was such confidence in that statement. You're picking up a book about wizards, and then you have, which we call moguls. They're proud to be normal. I need to understand why. Why wouldn't you want to not be normal? And is a magician not normal? To another magician, I am. I'm not a magician. I'm just saying. To another magician, they are, right? So now what you did was you caught my attention. I want to know more, right? So that's the purpose of you as a writer, as a storyteller. Your purpose, your whole goal is to draw people in. And if you can't do it with that first page, if you can't get them to ask questions in that first passage, in that first page, you're likely not to have them continue on forward. You're going to lose them. Right? And so I gave you an example of a prose, a book, a story, right? But then you're like, well, Sam, how does that relate to comics? Well, I'll tell you, right? Because comics, what happens is sometimes a novice writer will put all their energy on finding a fantastic illustrator to move that story forward, to carry the story. But what we've all learned is that doesn't matter how good the illustrator is. If the story doesn't captivate us, we're not going to come back. We might just pick it up for the art and put it in a box and say, look, I got everything done by this illustrator. But never really retained the information in the story. Never really fell in love with a character, a plot twist, whatever it is, right? Because the writer failed to bring us back. And that's hard. And it's hard to do because it's a matter of taste, right? So if it's a genre that you're trying to tap into, whether it's mystery, whether it's horror, whether it's fantasy, sci-fi, you have to understand the fundamentals, but you also have to beg the question, what's different about this versus the millions of other similar products out there? What makes this one unique? And giving it that amount of thought, when I was listening to J.K. Rowling and how many drafts and rewrites, name changes, because she kept asking questions. She'd write a draft, walk away, start writing a second and then went back and says, this draft's not going to work because this needs to happen, or that needs to happen, or this character would never do that. Right? So it's really understanding the beats in the soul of your story and the characters and their purpose and motives and what drives them and moves them forward and what connects them and what sets them apart. What keeps them at odds, what keeps them united, all those things, right? So in comics, one of the highest selling comic books out there was Spawn #1, right? And so Spawn #1, the opening page, I don't belong. Not here. Not now. I have to get back there. The bet was rigged. He made me believe. Now there's darkness in my soul. I want to die again. Wait, Jon Snow, what do you mean die again? Right? What happened? What bet? Who are you talking about? Because what he started with was just a planet, stars, blackness, and a cityscape. So you don't know who, what, or anything. All you know is that something happened. This guy doesn't want to live. He was lied to. He was betrayed. OMG. I need to read the rest. I need to flip that page. Right? So there's an example in comics where he didn't rely on the illustrator. He relied on his ability to tell a story. He achieved exactly what writers want to achieve in that opening passage. Draw you in. Bring you into the fold. Make you feel like you are part of the journey. Because the moment you start asking questions and flipping the page, you're now invested in it. And that's what you want. You want the reader to feel like they're part of the magic. So how do you create that magic? That's the key question. How do you create that magic? And if you ask a different writer, there's going to be a lot of different approaches. But the fundamentals are the 5 W's, right? The who, what, when, why, and how, and the 1H, right? So you want to, it's the fundamentals, right? It's understanding the history, the backstory, in order to create the present story and the road towards the future story, right? So, and they all have to have purpose in life, and there has to be a meaning for it, and there has to be some sort of connection in the story. Likability. How do you create likability? Authenticity. Where does that come from? Right? It's your investment in the character. There's a lot of mistakes in comics. Again, in comics, the easy thing is to rely on the illustrator, especially in the indie community, right? We want that illustrator to solve the problems and plug the holes in our plot lines, which is why there's only so many indies that rise to the surface, right? Because the only way to captivate an audience is to tell a compelling story, or a story that we can relate to. If you're writing humor, can you make them laugh? If you're writing mystery, can you make them think? You're writing horror, can you get them to say, no, what are you doing? And shout at the comic book page. Those are the things you want. You want engagement, right? So I get you got a comic book, you have Harry Potter, but then here's another one, right? So here's a book that sold, I don't know, 800 million copies or 80 million copies. That's what it was. 80 million copies worldwide, right? It's Captain Underpants, page 1. Simple illustration. It's 2 friends walking, and there's a sign, pick your own roses, flower shop, right? It's a blue sky, and it says, meet George Beard and Harold Hutchins. George is the kid on the left with the tie and the flat top. Harold is the one on the right with the t-shirt and the bad haircut. Remember that now. Okay, so now this is for your younger readers, right? For age 5 through 9. Why do I need to remember that? What's so important about the flat top and the tie, the bad haircut? I want to know, mommy. Let's turn the page, right? You've triggered that response in me as the reader to say, and it was just basic, simple illustration, right? You described what you were seeing. But now we're talking about a different audience, right? So you want to visualize. You provided a visual to what they were seeing, where in Spawn, the only visual was, Earth, You know, there's a cityscape. You know, it's nighttime. But there's characters talking. You don't know who's talking. In this one, because we're talking about a younger audience, you want to provide visuals. So that's what he did successfully. He provided a visual of the two best friends, described what they were wearing, but made sure you understood that to go forward, you had to remember what you just learned about them. That's important. So there's so many ways that you can bring the reader in to make them feel like they're a part of it, to make them feel like, this is going to be worth my time right now. It's about to get fun. And that's what you want them to do, is have fun. Right? The icing on the cake is when they talk about it to their friends and family. I just read this. Or, you know what? I picked this up and I really dug it. Or they went online and said, you know what? You got to read this. This is pretty cool. Right? So, again, write for you and your characters. You have a responsibility to your characters. And your characters, if done successfully, will bring in the audience. So you're the conductor. Let the characters play. Right? And I'm sitting in the audience. And let me enjoy the musical. That's how it works. That's how the relationship works. But if you're writing because there's a trend out there and you try to capitalize on the trend, and you're writing because, you're trying to write in a genre that you really are not skilled or versed in, but because you know that it's a hot topic, you're going to fail. Right from the heart, right? Because you love it, right? Because that's something that you believe in 100%. Remember, trends change. You want a story that's going to stand the test of time. Harry Potter is generational. Captain Underpants is generational. Spawn continues to sell today. But I can't tell you how many millions of people have that issue number one. Right? So Spawn's still a likable character. People are still excited about it becoming a movie, right? People are still collecting the action figures. So do your job, love what you do, have fun, and let it convey. What do you think about this topic? If you have any comments, leave it below. Join us on Thursday as we follow up on this conversation on the Morning Brew. George and I will deep dive into it from different perspectives and want to hear from you. And have fun. Writing is fun. Creating is fun. I hope that you're having fun while you're doing it. That's the topic of today. Thank you for joining me today. Don't forget, dudysworld.com. Get all of your Duty adventures. And in 2023, the full-color graphic novel, Forbidden, will be launching on Kickstarter in the spring. You don't want to miss this. It's going to be dope. It's going to be awesome. And so with that said, subscribe, like. See you soon. Recommend it to a friend. I'm Sam the Crazy Man Rivera. Just a crazy 10 or less. Peace.